Hello, everyone. This is Armstrong Williams on the right side. Armstrong. Don't curse, speak English. Armstrong. Virtuous society. Armstrong. I dare you to listen. Hey, turn it up. Hey. Armstrong. Get on the right side. Armstrong. Elevate your mind. Armstrong. I'm Armstrong Williams on the right side. Armstrong. Yo, man, it's your boy K.O. And you're tuned into the most conservative of our brothers. The Armstrong Williams Show. Please give me a break. Grow up. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Armstrong Williams Show. Our elder chicks, one of our favorites. I get so hyped up. Looking forward to the show. I know we're waiting on Dr. Fleischer, but you know, Dr. Reese is here with us today. Dr. Reese, how are you?
I'm just fine, thanks.
I'm good. You and I have known each other for such a long time.
A very long time.
We met in California.
That's right.
With John Shanahan.
That's right.
And Hooked on Phonics.
That's so true, and it is a long time ago.
It's a long time ago. You were probably in your early 30s?
It's beginning to feel as though I was never in my early 30s, Armstrong.
But isn't it a testimony, given the generation between you and I, that it's amazing that a young guy like me and a seasoned person like you could form a friendship and find common ground and just stay in touch and just look at where the Lord keeps blessing it and where it is today?
Absolutely, and I treasure this friendship.
Oh, yes.
It means a lot to me.
I really feel, and it's just really evolved. Taking on its own biology, a life of its own.
Absolutely, and you know, one of the things I admire most about you that has enabled this friendship is that you said to me a long time ago when you invited me to some important meeting that you were putting together in Washington. Armstrong, I'm not going to say anything you'll agree with. And you said, did I ask you that? You said, that doesn't make any difference. You'll say what you think. And I thought, you know, that's a person who knows how to disagree.
Oh, yeah. It's wonderful. Dr. Fleischer, welcome to the show. We've already started, my dear.
You have?
Yes, of course. We're live.
Okay.
Dr. Reese and I were just reminiscing about the beginning, the origins of our friendship and just how long it has lasted.
Wow.
It's been a long time. You know, almost since the 80s.
That's right.
It's amazing. You know what? This is going to be a very interesting show today. I always say this, but it's going to be very interesting. Because the beauty of this show, unlike any other show that I am blessed to host, normally everything I think it through. But for this show, so much of what I come to and so much of what I discuss is normally to do with current issues, and I'm just over the top with these issues. But today's conversation is influenced by my relationship with my mother and just everyday issues. And you know, and I want to talk about a few because it's going to really play to elder chicks. And this is really a show for senior citizens today, which is kind of unusual because we usually talk about everything but senior citizens. But we're going to change that today. You know, I was thinking, my mother is my friend. You know, of course, I love her as my mother, but I really like her a lot. You know, you can love your parent but not like them. You guys know that's possible, right?
So that's very possible.
Yes. So I like my mother a lot. So much so I talk to her 3 or 4 times a day because I enjoy talking to her because I'm talking to my friend, and when something is really bothering me, I can call her and not even talk about what's bothering me, but by the end of the conversation, everything is okay. I've got a different perspective. So on this particular day, Dr. Reese and Dr. Fleisch, this week I was talking to my mother. Well, I surprised her. I went home for Thanksgiving. And my mother is the kind of mother that likes to handle her own money. She's 86. She's so secure when she knows she has her own money to pay her little bills and the little things that might arise, like somebody cleaning her house, like groceries or special drinks that she likes, or special cookies and ice cream, which she should not be eating because she's diabetic, but that's okay. We let her have that. But anyhow, she said to me, my mother's the kind of mother that never asks any of her children for money, but the dynamics are in place for you to give it to her. So I said to her before coming home, because she didn't know I was coming, I said, so Ma, how's your money? She said, boy, it's low.
My mother told me that she outlived her money.
Right. Okay. Oh, wow. That's a good one. I like that one better. So my mother said the money is low. So obviously when she says the money is low, you got to replenish the money. So I go home, and we're sitting there talking. And at the very beginning, she's shocked to see me. So we sit down and talk. And I like to take the cash and just give her cash. And she just lights up like a Christmas tree. She is the Christmas tree. Every emotion possible. She said, boy, I sure appreciate this because I sure need it. So I got to thinking. I said, you know what? It is so important. It has always been important for me as a son. My father, on his deathbed, on December 15th, 1985, I'll never forget what he said to me on his deathbed. He said, boy, take care of your mama. You have no idea how hard your mama had to work to raise 10 children and what she had to sacrifice. She said she had tattered clothes. She didn't have shoes most of the time. And it wasn't until you got into college and you became student by the president that you took your stipend and you gave it to your mother. And I was so against that because I didn't feel that women needed to have the money in the first place. But you said, Daddy, that's none of your business. It's between me and my mama, and I'm giving mama my check. And so I gave mama my first check. And mama will tell you that she never started getting nice clothes or nice things until I started giving her my money. So listen, even when I didn't have it, I was willing to give her my first check because it was more important to me. And I'm not saying this to be boastful or to be braggadocious. I'm saying this because there's a larger story I want to tell here, and I'm just using myself as an example. And so my mother often said, boy, you're the same when you're a teenager, 18 years old. You're still the same. I never started handling money until you gave me money. And I got to thinking that when my father was on his deathbed, he said, take care of your mama. She's not going to always be with you, but take care of your mama, because let me tell you something, you got a good mother. And for me, one of the reasons why I was always responsible with my finances, very careful about the choices that I made, because I realized that when I messed up, it would not only affect me, it would impact her. And my mother always said that she wanted her best days in life to be her last days. And so I was thinking about the fact that more than 9 million older Americans can't even pay their bills. The cost of living, basic expenses like food, housing, health care, and transportation, the kinds of things that I just take for granted, are too much for millions of people aged 65 and older to bear. Just too much. And just think about, we are amid a weak economy over the past several years. Can you just imagine older Americans have been suffering alongside everybody else? The housing crash, you remember the Bernie Madoff story, the housing crash erased millions of dollars in home equity nationwide and dealt a serious blow to the wealth of many seniors, sending hundreds of thousands of retired Americans back into the workforce to make ends meet. I read some of the stories where 90-year-olds were going back to work. And meanwhile, think about this. Healthcare costs are rising, and more than 1 in 5 people over age 50 say they have skipped doctor's visits, switched to cheaper medications, which can be dangerous, or simply avoided certain medications altogether because the expense was too high. And my mother has so much medicine. She has so much medicine, and we're fortunate we're able to subsidize her and give her a very wonderful life. But I realize that we're the exception. Not everyone have sons and daughters who've been responsible and who have the financial wherewithal to be the government for their parents, to be the convalescent homes for their parents, to be the caregiver for their parents. Because for us, my gift to my mother 5 years ago is that I hired her a full-time nurse who can cook and do everything every day of the week, who's there to take care of her. Just even if she doesn't want anything, they're there to look after her. I realize that that is a blessing. And so with the increasing cost of medical care, also likely to offset the modest boost in Social Security that went into effect, older Americans, many of them, Dr. Reese and Dr. Fleischer, in a desperate situation. And that's what I want to talk about today. When children can't step in, the plight of older people. You know what? I would rather go without. I would rather not have because I'm younger than to see my mother go without and suffer at this stage in her life. She's reached the age of 86 and she cannot make ends meet. Talk about that, Dr. Fleischer. Let's talk about senior citizens in these desperate situations.
I don't know what else to add. There is so little that they can do. They can't often go out and work. They sometimes don't have children like you who can help them. They're thrown on the mercy of charity, and charity is not always forthcoming, especially in times like these. It is a desperate situation.
You know, I can tell you're speechless because what I want to get into. I really want people. We're coming up on a break. I really want people to understand that there is a population in this country, not just young people, but senior citizens, many of them who cannot even pay their bills, who suffer, who sacrifice medication, who sacrifice food, and then they become depressed and bored and lonely in the process. To me, which is a situation that's almost unimaginable. I want to talk about those situations and talk about what it is that we need to do as a society to help those seniors who've given so much to society, but yet in their golden age, they have become victims of scams. Children may have died, not their fault, and yet they sit all alone. Hold that point. Those seniors, which could easily be you someday. We'll be back.
For more information on the Armstrong-Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong-Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
High Point University has experienced unprecedented growth during the worst economic disruption in decades. This growth is driven by a university that focuses on holistic education, on experiential learning, and on values-based living. At High Point University, every student receives an extraordinary education in an inspiring environment with caring people. See what makes High Point University extraordinary at highpoint.edu.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933. Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Life is full of unexpected changes. Everyone has potential to do wrong. And when they choose to do it, contact the Bucksell Group for your private investigation needs. TheBucksellGroup.com or by phone at 202-243-9746. Whether there's an instance of a cheating spouse, child custody, process service, or security, don't continue suspecting. Get closure so that you can move on with your life. Visit TheBucksellGroup.com now or call 202-243-9746. If you think it's happening, it probably is.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong-Williams.
Yes, I get so excited and compassionate when I talk to Dr. Reese and Dr. Fleisch, because you know what? This issue is so close to my heart. It's as if God has given us a gift where, because I respect my mother, I respect Dr. Reese, Dr. Fleisch, I respect all seniors. It's given us a platform to really bring home. We can talk about all the good things, but sometimes we've got to talk about the ugly, because I got to tell you, over 3 million seniors live in poverty. But that number, guess what, rises to about 6 million when health care costs are factored in it. And when you think about the sluggish job market, Dr. Reese, and the lack of real wage growth for most workers, the elderly are hardly alone in facing pressing financial concerns. Because you know what? A growing number of Americans of all ages, but especially the elderly, have reported not being able to afford food in the past year. And nearly half of all households in the country are just one financial emergency away from the poverty line. Dr. Reese?
You know, everything you say is true, and I'll make it even a little worse, Armstrong, by adding this. On the one hand, we have this wonderful prospect of living longer lives, and that's a true demographic that's changing. People are living longer, but along with living longer, for some of us, like Dr. Fleischer and me, we're able to still be very active. But also among our contemporaries are the kinds of people you're talking about who can't be, through no fault of their own, just simply because they're aging. And as I mentioned before, as my mother used to say, she outlived her money. She never expected to. And she had Social Security, but of course, later on, I had to help, and fortunately, we could do that, although she always still lived very simply. And as you say, not everyone has the ability or the privilege even of helping their aging parents, grandparents. So what do we have to do? I think that as not only younger people, but our contemporaries who are still able have to look around and see who among us is not, and what we can do for them too. There are some things starting that I see as hopeful signs where people are looking at older people and trying to create new activities. I've talked to a number of people in the process of our writing a book who are working with older people and seeking them out with programs that are always begging for funding, of course, but have wonderful things for seniors, because what they're fighting is the isolation. When you say that about only hearing the ring of the mailman, that's so true. And that's such a good picture. It's a sad picture, but it makes it very vivid for us to realize that some people are living such very lonely lives. And those of us who are able really have to look around and see who is so lonely and who is so isolated, because we don't know what's happening in the rest of their day. If we contact an older person and check in on them, I have to tell you that my husband, whom you also know, Armstrong, and I are now the old people between two young families on our block. You know my house. We have neighbors on both sides who are very lovely young people. We don't know them very well. When it snows, we find our walk has been cleared. Our steps have been cleared. And my husband said, we're the old folks on the block. And these younger people, without ever saying it, are looking out for us. And that's what we all have to do for each other.
Dr. Fleischer?
Yes. It happened to have attended a meeting yesterday in which a friend of mine and I were at an agency that does community support, and we were speaking about what people can do to help seniors. And certainly money is one thing, but a lot of seniors don't have money, they have time. And we were talking about various things that seniors could do to help each other. Somebody donated 4 boxes of yarn, and we put together a program where we would gather senior women together, and men if they can knit, and give them kits. We're preparing these kits with yarn and needles and instructions so that they can do some knitting for other people or for themselves if necessary. But the thing is that this is gathering a group of otherwise lonely people together over a project that they can share, they can and give to others. I think there's so many opportunities for people, including seniors, to help other seniors that do not involve giving money. Although if they have the money to give, that's very good. But it's not the only thing that we can give to make seniors' lives much, much more happier and more meaningful and less lonely.
You know, I find it interesting because what you're basically is talking about is mental health and physical health, because stability of physical and mental health is a key concern that senior citizens have to contend with as they go through their twilight years. The human body is a system that wears out with long and repetitive use, like anything, and quite easily with neglect and abuse. And so we all know that aging is a life cycle stage where the human capacity to think, to act, to relate, and learn starts to falter, and you can begin to see the deterioration. And so aging breeds illnesses such as loss of memory, immobility, organ failure, and even poor vision. And so these are critical dysfunctions that could sideline a senior citizen to a lonely and miserable life. And while a clean and discreet lifestyle in your prime can reduce the susceptibility of a senior citizen to dread post-retirement illnesses, the onset of any dysfunction is one unpredictable happening, even if the person might have had robust financial health. So that's why you say money is not all of it. I mean, the frailty of the human body grows with the aging process regardless of who the person is, and a sure-to-come event magnifying the primacy of physical and mental health stability as a fundamental problem of senior citizens. How do we better address this?
Well, I think one way we address it is I think one cause for this is the lack of stimulation that many seniors have, because they're separated, they're isolated from the rest of the world. I think if there are ways of keeping them stimulated through writing programs, memoir writing, encouraging them to tell stories of what their lives were like, writing it down, taping, learning to knit, learning to do new things. This stimulation of the brain has been shown to retard deterioration. And I think this is a very important way we have of dealing with this.
But what about seniors? Something, when I say the unpredictable, the impact of your being married to the same spouse and faithful to them and doing everything with them for the last 50 years, and all of a sudden there's a sudden illness, they fall, they breaks up, and then in a couple of months they die. And then especially, let's just say, if it's the husband and you never knew how to pay bills, you didn't have to do anything. He did it all.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for that, Dr. Reese?
Well, that's a big question. And how do you prepare? a lot of people never do. And that really becomes a terrible situation for the individual who finds herself. It's usually the woman who survives. And we could do a lot of thinking about why it is the women survive. More likely. But anyway, they're often alone. And if they have never learned how to take care of their own financial affairs, and if they're all alone and they don't have good sons like Armstrong Williams, they are really in a bind. But I do know of people who, in their 80s, are volunteering and helping people with their financial problems, too. You know, we need to encourage and really build a network of other seniors who are helping seniors and of young people who will. There is, for instance...
Hold that point. We're coming back. Dr. Reese, Dr. Flasher, we'll be back.
For more information on the Armstrong-Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.RightSideWire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong-Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.RightSideWire.com.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Dr. Reese, please continue.
There's a program, for example, that started in Philadelphia by a very young woman. I think she's 31 now, and she's a successful architect. But because she loves speaking to her grandmother, who is back in Seattle, and wanted to hear her stories of her life, she has started something called The Best Day of My Life So Far, and went to a senior center, volunteered, and asked, may I meet with some of the people here 1 hour a week? And what she has started is becoming probably at least a national phenomenon, and it may spread, we hope, even to other countries. Because what she has done with the best day of my life so far is to gather some seniors, none of whom saw themselves as writers, but all older people have stories. And Benita has gotten them to tell their stories, and it's just wonderful. I've been in on sessions where one man who is totally blind, by the way, was a musician. I guess he still is a musician, but no longer a professional one. Comes to that, he gets to that class every week that he possibly can, because telling his stories and having someone write them down for him has become so important in his life. And his stories help other people tell theirs. And, doing this not only changes any sense of isolation that people have felt and gives them something to do and something to go to, but it's knowing that what their lives what they have endured in their lives and what they have enjoyed in their lives can be important now to other people. Those memories are important to all of us. And talk about mental health changes. I mean, that really is something wonderful to watch.
I want to make this a little more personal. What are some of the, we're going to start with you, Dr. Fleischer. What is some of the realities that you've had to face and adjust to in the aging process, but once you conquered it, you were able to replace it with something that really built your self-esteem, gave you more energy, gave you more ideas? You realize that you may age as a number, and while it's an important number, it doesn't limit you in your contributions and how you can empower others.
What are some of the challenges I face? Well,
and how have you dealt with it as someone who's aging?
I had been very fortunate to have enjoyed excellent health all my life until 2 years ago I developed cancer, a kind of ovarian cancer. How did I deal with that? I put one foot in front of the other and said, I am going to make my life as good as it can be, and I'm going to get well. Now, I also am aware that I can only do so much, but what I felt that I could do was keep myself physically fit, exercise, good diet, healthy diet, do what I was told to do by the doctors, and I recovered. And I think I've just been fortunate. Some of these things were in my control, but a lot of it was not in my control. I think the thing, and of course, probably the major thing in my life when I was aging was the loss of my husband. And that was another thing that I had to deal with. But I knew that I was going to go forward and live my life as happily and as productively as I could. I really don't know how else to answer the question. I don't know how much of this is something that I could control. I don't know how much of this is something that is in my genetic makeup. I really don't know.
How did you address the loneliness and the depression?
I am fortunate to have good friends, close friends who have been very supportive, and you're talking to one of them right now. And that, of course, is Dr. Reese. I continued to follow my interests, which have always been to reach out rather than inward, because I mean, that was, I just look at the example of women and men that I see around me whose examples I think are worth following. And what I notice about them is that they don't turn inward. They're very interested in reaching out to the world. They're still very interested in world affairs and following their interests and other people and doing more for other people. As you said, you do for your mother more than for yourself. These are the things that I've noticed in other people and try to follow their example.
But also address this. Obviously, loneliness and being frightened, you're human. You were frightened, you were fearful. And I want you to let our audience know that is okay, too, to be vulnerable.
Oh, I was very vulnerable. I am. I'm still very vulnerable. There's no question about that. I think though that one of the most important things that a person can do, whether they're facing losses or whatever kind of challenges they face, and we all face challenges all the years of our lives.
No, every day of our lives.
Every day of our lives, is to remain true to what you believe in. I think that maybe one of the most comforting things I have to fall back on are the values, the beliefs that got me here, that got me this far. They got me this far. I assume they're going to get me to the end of my days.
Isn't it amazing how a foundation of principles and beliefs can sustain you and how important it becomes in a time of struggle? Dr. Reese, in your own experiences, you know you've been the strength for many senior citizens, but yet you have your challenges too. You know what? Stuff happens, as people will say, but you got to get through it. You just got to get up, Dr. Reese.
Exactly. You have to get up, and you have to find what it is that gets you up. You know, I think it is the core that gets you up. There's no question. And for me, personally, I seem always to need something outside of myself to concentrate. Because I find, frankly, getting old is sometimes a challenge just in itself. You know, there's a wonderful novel that came out a couple of years ago that has a title that sort of says everything. The title of this book by the English writer Julian Barnes is The Sense of an Ending. And I think that's what we arrive at.
Strong.
And when you have this sense of an ending, you start to realize, hey, I've got to do something with this time. I've got to use it. Use it or lose it, I guess, because what else can I do if I'm going to just sit and think about how depressing it might be to have this sense of an ending? Or can I use this time in some productive way? And I think that's really why we started Elder Chicks, too. And as Dr. Fleischer said, looking at these examples of people who really seem to use this time still productively and still find meaning, new meanings even, is very exciting. It's really exciting to know that you really not only still have something to say, but you're discovering new ways of saying or new things to think about. Look at the fact that, Armstrong, that you like to talk to us. I think that's such a gift, that you're interested, that you care about what it is that older people are thinking and feeling and the challenges that we're all facing.
Well, I listened to Dr. Fleischer, and I think there's a word that comes to mind. When you go through what you go through and you survive it, it's like a renaissance. It's like a rebirth for you. There's a renewal. There's a new season. It's a season that you've not been in before. And you have to adapt. And then once you learn the season, then the season has prepared you for others who will follow, who's in the same situation. You become their light, their guideposts. But you had to go through it. Some things people cannot be a substitute for. No one. You must go through that valley. We're going to come back. I can't believe we only have one segment left. But we're going to do our best with it. Not much time, but we'll be back. Don't go away.
For more information on the Armstrong-Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong-Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
High Point University has experienced unprecedented growth during the worst economic disruption in decades. This growth is driven by a university that focuses on holistic education, on experiential learning, and on values-based living. At High Point University, every student receives an extraordinary education in an inspiring environment with caring people. See what makes High Point University extraordinary at highpoint.edu.
Whether it's their impact on prison guards, law enforcement officials, business executives, employees, or marriage and relationships, Lorette is dedicated to changing the individual and institutions around the globe. Lorette's diverse network and training courses can help provide you with the tools you need to both wisely and confidently lead, manage, and supervise yourself as well as others. Lorette Business Network, a proven system for achieving success in your business and life. Please visit their website and begin this life-lasting journey with Lorette today, www.lorette.org.
To travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong-Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong-Williams.
And so, yes, and I can sense it in you, Dr. Fleischer. You're renewed, you're refreshed. You become different. You're the same body, the same circumstances surround you, but something changed.
That's interesting that you say that, because I have wondered about that myself. You're very, very perceptive, Armstrong.
Oh, no, you can, listen, every aspect of Western culture needs a new code of ethics, a rational ethics, as a precondition for a rebirth.
You know, I think one of the things is that I reflected on things that I hadn't thought terribly much about before. And so I really was thinking about new things. I don't know that that anything basic changed in me. It's just that I became much, much more reflective. And that I think is another gift, one more gift of old age. That perhaps before I didn't have time to reflect about these particular things. The sense of the ending, the sense of going forth, the sense of what is this part of my life going to be like. Somehow it's such a new kind of a stage. First of all, facing the world alone, and facing the world with the real knowledge that I'm going to die someday. Maybe I didn't really realize that when I was younger, until I became really ill and wondered if I was going to live out the year. So that new sense of, that new reflection, I think, did change me.
You know, I think what I hear from both of you, which I think is so important, and this is my growth. You know, it's okay to be depressed, you get down. It's okay to have the blues. But I think what you both are saying, and what I sense from this conversation, is that there's a rebirth that goes on with us continuously as human beings. And you may not understand personally, and you have come to the conclusion through all this that you personally can't understand how anyone can really become bored in life. You can understand how you can be depressed, but you just don't understand boredom, because boredom is death. It's the tools of death. And so, and what you become now is a visual artist, and this could be your rebirth.
Very interesting. I will be reflecting on that all this week.
I mean, you know,
the idea of rebirth had not occurred to me, but I think you're onto something there.
Oh, it is, and you may not always understand it, and sometimes conversations will bring it to you, but you can sense it. But there's one thing that we cannot end the conversation today without this, which is equally as important. You must tell us, I remember our conversations, that we should turn this into a book, or just radio vignettes that we distribute around the world. But I remember you saying this to us, that you grew up with little, even less money, not having much. What I need from you, and this is where my spirit leads us now, is how you were able to make sure you did not outlive your money. Your husband passed, but you were able, of all the issues you could have, compound that if you were not responsible financially, what your life would have been like. So tell us in snippets the kinds of things that you can share with seniors and others that will be seniors and those that are about to be seniors, the little things that you have to do to make sure you don't outlive your money, to manage it well, just the little things.
Well, first of all, you cannot spend all that you have. You must save some of what you have. Spend a penny, save a penny. I mean, this was how I was brought up. And I also have never needed to live lavishly. But I think that the important thing is to not spend all that you have, and certainly don't live on credit. I remember when we went to buy our first house, we had a great deal of trouble getting a mortgage because we didn't owe any money. The mortgage company couldn't understand that, but we never did. We bought what we could afford. I think that's one thing. I've always worked. My husband's always worked. We've just felt that this work ethic was very much a part of our lives. I don't know, what else to.
Well, you've said it.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Reese?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I certainly second all of that. I think also it's so easy to be influenced by what we see on television and what we see in advertisements, and think that we must have things that we don't really need. And I think if young people can realize that being sold something is not the same as finding out that you need something. And they have to really be sophisticated enough to figure out why something is being made to look so good when you don't need it. There are things you don't have to have.
How important was it that something you both have done a terrific job on getting it right the first time, the man that would become your husband and the father of your children and your life partner, Dr. Fleischer? How important was that to your life and your stability and your sanity?
The most important thing in my life. That's how important. That's how important.
And how did you get it right the first time? You never had to repeat it again?
I don't know. Sometimes I say to myself, how when I was so dumb when I was so young, how did I know? And I don't know the answer to that. I wish I had a better answer.
Dr. Reese?
I'll tell you, I really believe so much is luck, because I too think, good grief, we didn't know anything. Right. And I do think this, though, looking at some of my friends who did not have good long marriages. Most have. Most of my close friends have had. But some didn't. And some of them didn't because they gave up when things got tough. Instead of becoming best friends, they gave up when challenges came up in their marriages. And I think that some of them even see now it was a mistake. I think that when you make a commitment and the other person is a good person, you find ways to become best friends in life. So that you have this really good companionship when you're old, if you're fortunate enough to still be alive.
You know, isn't it amazing that this particular question you've thought about 1,000 times, but yet when you're asked about it, to answer it, you just go blank. Isn't that amazing how the mind works?
It is. But the truth is, when you think about yourself, and at least now people are marrying later. But when we were young,
right,
girls my age didn't leave home until it was to move into the home that they made with their husband.
Sounds like we need to go back to those days.
Well, I don't know. The world has so changed.
The world may change, but values and virtues and systems that work shouldn't change.
You may have something there.
You know what? Can you believe, again, we've reached the point where we're out of time?
This is the fastest hour I spend.
Right. It's the fastest hour of the week.
Hey, look, the topic is so radically different every week.
They certainly are.
They are
we never know.
But I can tell Dr. Fleischer was far more at home with today's topics. But you know what? You're at your best when you're forced to come out of your comfort zone. You have no idea the kind of feedback, the things that you and Dr. Reese say that people respond to. You have no idea. Because it's coming from you, so you can't really appreciate it as fully as someone who's struggling, listening. People listen so often to media trying to find something to empower them, to sustain them, to give them hope. And you know what people say about this show? It really gives me hope and belief. I'm finding my confidence. I'm finding my voice again.
Oh, good.
I'm finding my identity again.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So you may
so
not.
Are we.
Well, look, and so are all of us. Because listen, I can tell you, I am so ready for this. I mean, listen, I get in the studio early and turn on all the signals to make sure nothing is not working, to make sure we don't have any issues when we're live. But there's the music. Listen, thank you both so much, and I look forward to another edition of Elder Chicks. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. Goodbye, everybody.
High Point University has experienced unprecedented growth during the worst economic disruption in decades. This growth is driven by a university that focuses on holistic education, on experiential learning, and on values-based living. At High Point University, every student receives an extraordinary education in an inspiring environment with caring people. See what makes High Point University extraordinary at highpoint.edu.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org. Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
Life is full of unexpected changes. Everyone has potential to do wrong. And when they choose to do it, contact the Bucksell Group for your private investigation needs. TheBucksellGroup.com or by phone at 202-243-9746. Whether there's an instance of a cheating spouse, child custody, process service, or security, don't continue suspecting. Get closure so that you can move on with your life. Visit TheBucksellGroup.com now or call 202-243-9746. If you think it's happening, it probably is.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
What we need, soul food. Henry Soul Food. No, we need it, soul food. Henry Soul Food. No, I like it, soul food. Henry Soul Food. No, we need it, soul food. Henry Soul Food. Hit me.
Home of the sweet potato pie. Even the keenest taste buds will tell you the best food on the planet. Large enough to serve you and small enough to know you. So get to Henry's at 5431 Indian Head Highway, Oxon Hill, Maryland, or give us a call at 301-749-6856.